Everyone talks about defeating laziness. But what if I told you that laziness is actually your superpower? What if the very thing you've been fighting against is the thing that will make you rich? The most successful people in the world are incredibly lazy. They're just lazy in the right way. They're too lazy to do things manually, so they create systems. They're too lazy to work for someone else, so they build businesses. They're too lazy to accept average results, so they find shortcuts to excellence. Your laziness isn't a weakness to overcome. It's an untapped resource waiting to be channeled. There's a woman named Maria Rodriguez who used to clean toilets at 3 a.m. in a corporate building downtown. Every night, she would push her cart through empty hallways, mopping floors while executives slept peacefully in their beds. But Maria had a secret. While she cleaned, she listened. She absorbed every conversation that happened during the day, every strategy meeting, every problem that needed solving. One night, she found a crumpled paper in the CEO's office trash can. It was $1 million problem the company couldn't solve. Maria smoothed out that paper, took it home, and spent her sleepless hours crafting a solution. 6 months later, she walked into that same CEO's office, not as a janitor, but as the newly appointed director of operations. Today, she runs her own cleaning empire worth $47 million. What separated Maria from every other person pushing that same cart? What made the difference between staying invisible and becoming invincible? It wasn't education, it wasn't connections, it wasn't luck. It was her refusal to accept laziness as her life sentence. While others saw cleaning as mindless work, Maria saw it as her university. While others complained about their circumstances, Maria studied them. While others waited for opportunities, Maria created them right now. As you sit there, there's a Maria Rodriguez living inside you. There's a person of extraordinary capability, unlimited potential, and unstoppable power dwelling within your chest. But there's also an enemy, a silent assassin that has been murdering your dreams one day at a time. This enemy doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It doesn't wear scary masks or carry weapons. It whispers sweetly in your ear. It tells you to wait until tomorrow. It convinces you that you're tired. It makes excuses sound reasonable and delay feel comfortable. This enemy has a name, and its name is laziness. Laziness is not what you think it is. It's not the person lying on the couch eating chips. That's just the final stage of the disease. Real laziness is much more sophisticated. It dresses up in business suits and carries briefcases. It speaks in meetings and sends emails. It looks busy while accomplishing nothing. It mistakes motion for progress and activity for achievement. Laziness is the executive who has 17 meetings a week but never makes a decision. Laziness is the student who spends 6 hours studying but never opens a book. Laziness is the entrepreneur who talks about business plans but never writes one. You see, laziness has learned to hide. It has discovered that if it appears too obvious, you'll fight it. So instead, it camouflages itself as being overwhelmed. It pretends to be perfectionism, telling you that unless you can do something perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. It masquerades as preparation, convincing you that you need to learn more, plan more, think more before you can act. It poses as caution, warning you about all the things that could go wrong if you step out of your comfort zone. But here's what laziness doesn't want you to know. Every single person who has ever achieved anything significant in this world had to defeat this same enemy. Every invention, every breakthrough, every empire, every movement began with someone deciding that they would no longer negotiate with laziness. They declared war on the voice that said, "Not today," and chose to listen to the voice that said, "Right now." The tragedy is not that people are lazy. The tragedy is that people don't recognize their own power. You have been created with everything you need to succeed already installed within you. Your brain has the capacity to solve problems that haven't been invented yet. Your hands can build things that don't exist. Your mind can conceive ideas that can change the world. Your voice can inspire movements. Your example can influence generations. But none of this matters if you allow laziness to keep all of this potential locked away in the vault of someday. Here's what I want you to understand about yourself. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not limited by your education, your background, your resources, or your connections. You are only limited by your willingness to act despite feeling unprepared, to move despite feeling unmotivated, to work despite feeling uninspired. The difference between people who win and people who wish is not talent, intelligence, or opportunity. The difference is their relationship with discomfort. Successful people have learned to do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. They have discovered that the voice telling them to wait is not their friend. They have realized that motivation is not a feeling you wait for, it's a decision you make. They understand that discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. They know that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can listen to the voice that tells you to hit the snooze button, or you can listen to the voice that tells you to get up and make something happen. You can follow the impulse that says, I'll start tomorrow. Or you can follow the impulse that says, I'll start right now. You can remain the person you've always been, or you can become the person you were meant to be. The question is not whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you will use what you have. The question is not whether you can overcome laziness. The question is whether you will choose to fight the battle that will determine the rest of your life. Thomas Edison had an assistant named Charles Batchelor, who appeared to be the laziest man in the laboratory. While other assistants rushed around conducting experiments and building prototypes, Charles would sit in his chair for hours, staring at problems, seemingly doing nothing. Edison's other workers complained about Charles constantly. They called him dead weight. They said he was stealing his salary, but Edison defended him every time. Why? Because Charles Batchelor was responsible for over 200 patents. While others were busy being busy, Charles was busy thinking. What appeared to be laziness was actually the highest form of productivity. This reveals something profound about human nature. We have been programmed to believe that activity equals progress. We think that if we're not sweating, we're not working. If we're not stressed, we're not succeeding. If we're not busy, we're not valuable. But the most successful people in the world understand something that the busy crowd doesn't. They understand that there's a difference between being productive and being active. They know that sometimes the most important work happens when you appear to be doing nothing at all. Your brain is not your enemy. Your brain is trying to protect you. When you think about starting that business, your brain immediately calculates all the ways it could fail. When you consider changing careers, your brain shows you all the security you'll lose. When you think about asking for that promotion, your brain reminds you of every time you've been rejected before. Your brain believes its job is to keep you alive, not to help you thrive. It doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about your survival. This is why comfort zones exist. Your comfort zone is not a place of comfort. It's a place of familiar pain. You know exactly what to expect there. You know the rules. You know the outcomes. You know that even though you're not happy, you're safe. Your brain prefers the devil it knows to the angel it doesn't. It would rather have you stay in a job you hate than risk the uncertainty of finding one you love. It would rather have you remain in relationships that drain you than face the loneliness of finding ones that fulfill you. But here's what your brain doesn't understand. The biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. The most dangerous place to be is standing still while the world moves forward. The greatest threat to your future is your addiction to your past. Every day that you choose safety over growth, you're choosing slow death over abundant life. Every moment that you choose familiar over frightening, you're trading your potential for your comfort. The people who break through understand that discomfort is not their enemy. Discomfort is their compass. It points them toward everything they need to become. When they feel resistance, they lean into it. When they feel fear, they walk toward it. When they feel uncertain, they take action anyway. They have learned that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Most people manage their time, but successful people manage their energy. Time is the same for everyone. Every person gets 24 hours. But energy is different. Energy can be multiplied. Energy can be focused. Energy can be directed. When you're passionate about something, you can work for 12 hours and feel energized. When you're passionate about nothing, you can work for 2 hours and feel exhausted. This is why so many people feel tired all the time, even when they're not doing anything physically demanding. They're spending their energy on things that drain them instead of things that fuel them. They're investing their life force in other people's dreams instead of their own. They're using their power to maintain systems that were never designed to serve them. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Guard it carefully, spend it wisely, invest it intentionally. Stop giving your best energy to your worst priorities. Stop letting people who add no value to your life consume your time and attention. Stop participating in conversations that lead nowhere and activities that build nothing. When you align your energy with your purpose, magic happens. Work doesn't feel like work anymore. Challenges become adventures. Obstacles become opportunities. You stop watching the clock and start losing track of time. You stop counting how many hours you're working and start measuring how much impact you're making. The difference between people who succeed and people who struggle is not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not even opportunity. The difference is their relationship with discomfort. Successful people have learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable. They understand that growth lives on the other side of convenience. They know that everything they want is waiting for them outside their comfort zone. Your laziness is not a character flaw. It's not a moral failing. It's not a permanent condition. Your laziness is a symptom of disconnection. You're disconnected from your purpose. You're disconnected from your power. You're disconnected from your potential. When you reconnect with why you're here, what you're capable of, and where you're going, laziness becomes impossible. Now that you understand the enemy and the psychology behind it, the question becomes, how do you actually defeat it? How do you move from understanding to action? How do you break the chains that have been holding you back? The answer is simpler than you think, but more powerful than you can imagine. There's a rule that will change your life if you apply it. It's called the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes to do it right now. Don't think about it. Don't plan it. Don't schedule it. Just do it. Reply to that email, make that phone call, clean that desk, write that first paragraph, take that first step. The magic is not in the task itself. The magic is in breaking the pattern of delay, you see. Procrastination is not about the size of the task. It's about the habit of postponement. When you delay small things, you're training your brain to delay big things. When you put off easy decisions, you're preparing yourself to put off important decisions. Every time you say, I'll do it later, to something simple, you're strengthening the muscle of procrastination. But when you reverse this pattern, something extraordinary happens. When you handle small things immediately, you build the momentum to handle big things decisively. When you take quick action on minor issues, you develop the confidence to take bold action on major opportunities. The 2-minute rule is not about time management. It's about momentum management. Michelle Thompson understood this principle without even knowing it had a name. She was a single mother working 2 jobs, trying to build a business from her kitchen table. She had 30 minutes between getting home from her first job and leaving for her second job. Most people would say 30 minutes isn't enough time to build anything. Michelle decided 30 minutes was enough time to build everything. She used those 30 minutes every single day for 2 years. Today, her kitchen table business generates 7 figures annually. What Michelle discovered is what every successful person learns eventually. Small, consistent actions create massive results. The compound effect of consistency is the most powerful force in personal development. It's not about doing something amazing once. It's about doing something simple every single day. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. They want to transform their entire life in a weekend. They set goals that require them to become a completely different person overnight. When they inevitably fail to maintain this impossible pace, they give up completely. They conclude that they don't have what it takes, when the truth is, they just took the wrong approach. Success is not about dramatic transformation. Success is about gradual progression. It's about becoming 1% better every day. It's about choosing to do the right thing when no one is watching. It's about keeping promises you make to yourself when keeping them is inconvenient. The secret to defeating laziness is to make the right choice so easy that you can't fail, and the wrong choice so inconvenient that you won't want to make it. If you want to exercise, put your workout clothes next to your bed. If you want to read, put the book on your pillow. If you want to eat healthy, prepare your meals in advance. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Stop trying to overcome your environment with determination. Instead, design your environment to support your goals. Remove the obstacles that make good choices difficult. Eliminate the temptations that make bad choices easy. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotional management problem. People don't procrastinate because they don't know what to do. They procrastinate because they don't want to feel what they'll have to feel to do what they know they should do. They avoid the discomfort of starting, the frustration of struggling, the embarrassment of failing. But here's what procrastinators don't realize. The pain of avoiding something is always greater than the pain of doing it. The mental energy you spend thinking about what you're not doing is more exhausting than the physical energy required to actually do it. The stress of delay is more damaging than the effort of action. When you finally understand that procrastination is not protecting you from pain, but actually causing you more pain, everything changes. When you realize that action is not the source of your discomfort, but the solution to it, you stop running from what you need to do and start running toward it. Once you've activated the protocol and started taking action. The next phase is multiplication. This is where good intentions become great results. This is where small steps become giant leaps. This is where individual effort becomes unstoppable momentum. Your environment is programming you right now. The books on your shelf are programming you. The people in your phone are programming you. The shows you watch are programming you. The music you listen to is programming you. The conversations you have are programming you. Everything around you is either pulling you toward your goals or pushing you away from them. There is no neutral environment. Most people try to change their lives without changing their environment. They want different results while keeping the same inputs. They want to think differently while consuming the same information. They want to act differently while surrounding themselves with the same influences. This is like trying to grow tropical plants in Arctic conditions. It doesn't matter how much you water them or how much fertilizer you use, the environment will always win. If you want to defeat laziness permanently, you must engineer an environment that makes laziness impossible. Remove everything that supports procrastination. Eliminate everything that encourages delay. Add everything that promotes action. Include everything that rewards progress. This means your physical environment, your digital environment, your social environment, and your mental environment must all be aligned with who you're becoming, not who you've been. Clean up your space. Organize your tools. Arrange your schedule. Curate your social media. Choose your friends carefully. Guard your mind fiercely. But environment alone is not enough. You need accountability. You need people who will call you on your excuses. You need people who will challenge your comfort zones. You need people who believe in your potential more than you believe in your limitations. Isolation is the enemy of achievement. Community is the catalyst of transformation. Find someone who has already accomplished what you want to accomplish. Study their habits, model their behaviors, learn from their mistakes. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Success leaves clues. Follow the trail that others have already blazed. But here's where most people get confused. They think accountability means having someone to report to. Real accountability means having someone to grow with. It means surrounding yourself with people who are also committed to excellence. It means being part of a community where mediocrity is unacceptable and greatness is expected. When your why is strong enough, your how becomes automatic. When your purpose is clear enough, your path becomes obvious. When your vision is big enough, your obstacles become small. Most people fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't know why they must do it. Your why must be bigger than your comfort zone. It must be stronger than your fear. It must be more compelling than your excuses. It must be more important than your temporary feelings. When your why reaches this level of intensity, laziness becomes impossible because the cost of staying the same becomes greater than the price of change. People think discipline restricts freedom, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you have freedom in your schedule. When you're disciplined with your money, you have freedom in your choices. When you're disciplined with your health, you have freedom in your body. When you're disciplined with your habits, you have freedom in your life. The most successful people in the world are not the most talented. They're not the most intelligent. They're not the most connected. They're the most disciplined. They have learned to do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. They have mastered the art of acting in spite of their emotions rather than because of them. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about precision. It's about doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your behaviors with your beliefs, your habits with your goals. Roberto Clemente Jr. was known throughout his neighborhood as the king of excuses. At 28 years old, he had perfected the art of explaining why he couldn't do things. Too tired to exercise, too busy to learn new skills, too broke to start a business, too old to change careers, too scared to take risks. His friends called him Maybe Monday. Monday never came. Roberto worked at a furniture store, selling recliners to people who reminded him of himself. Comfortable, settled, going nowhere. One Tuesday afternoon, a customer came in who changed everything. The man was 73 years old, walked with a cane, and had just completed his 15th marathon while Roberto was writing up the sale. The old man mentioned that he had started running at age 70. Roberto laughed and said, "I could never do that. I'm not a runner." The old man looked at him with eyes that had seen decades of life and said something that haunted Roberto for weeks. "You're right. As long as you believe that, you'll always be right." That night, Roberto couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the old man's words. He realized that every limitation he believed about himself was just a story he had been telling himself for so long that he had forgotten it was fiction. He was not a runner. He was someone who had never run. He was not an entrepreneur. He was someone who had never started a business. He wasn't not capable. He was someone who had never tried. The next morning, Roberto did something he had never done before. He put on sneakers and walked to the end of his driveway. He didn't run, he just walked. But that short walk to the end of his driveway changed his identity. For the first time in his adult life, he was someone who had taken action instead of making excuses. The following day, he walked to the corner. The day after that, he walked around the block. Within a week, he was jogging. Within a month, he was running 3 miles. Within 6 months, he had completed his first 10K. Within 2 years, he had finished 3 marathons and started 2 businesses. But the real transformation wasn't in his body or his bank account. The real transformation was in his mind. Roberto had discovered the secret that separates champions from everyone else. Champions don't become champions by winning competitions. They become champions by winning the daily battle against the voice that says not today. They understand that identity is not something you're born with. Identity is something you build through consistent action. Every time you do what you say you're going to do, you strengthen your identity as someone who keeps their word. Every time you choose discomfort over convenience, you strengthen your identity as someone who grows. Every time you act despite fear, you strengthen your identity as someone who is brave. Every time you persist through difficulty, you strengthen your identity as someone who doesn't quit. Your identity is not your past. Your identity is your pattern. It's not what you did yesterday, it's what you do consistently. It's not who you were, it's who you're becoming. When you change your pattern, you change your identity. When you change your identity, you change your life. Right now, as you listen to these words, your future self is watching you. The person you could become is observing the person you are today. What is that future version of yourself thinking about your current choices? What would they say about how you're spending your time? What would they think about the excuses you're making? What would they feel about the dreams you're postponing? Your legacy is not what you accomplish. Your legacy is who you become in the process of accomplishing it. Your legacy is the example you set. Your legacy is the standard you establish. Your legacy is the path you create for others to follow. Every choice you make is either building a legacy of excellence or a legacy of mediocrity. Somewhere right now, there's a child who will be inspired by your story. There's a person who will be motivated by your example. There's someone who will believe in their own possibilities because they saw what was possible in your life. But they can only be inspired by a story that actually gets written. They can only be motivated by an example that actually gets lived. The moment of decision is always now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect. Now, this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. This is when champions are born. Not in the arena, not on the stage, not when the lights are bright and the cameras are rolling. Champions are born in the quiet moments when no one is watching and nothing is forcing them to act except their own decision to become who they were meant to be. You have everything you need. You always have. The question was never whether you were capable. The question is whether you will act on that capability. The question is whether you will honor the potential that has been placed within you. The question is whether you will become the person your future self is waiting for you to become. Stop negotiating with mediocrity. Stop making deals with delay. Stop accepting less than you deserve. Stop settling for less than you're capable of. Stop being the person who talks about what they're going to do and become the person who does what they say. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Your opportunity is present. Defeat your laziness, not tomorrow, but today. Not eventually, but immediately. Not when you feel like it, but especially when you don't. The champion inside you has been waiting long enough. Set them free.